2020. Wasn't it just the year that everybody hated? Now you can completely write off 2020, you can basically say it was a wasted year, time that you're never going to get back for the rest of your lives. Or you can do what I'm trying to do a little bit more of now in 2021, which is look back at the year and try and find the positives in what was a year of otherwise overwhelming negatives. Lens is filthy. So in no particular order, I thought what I'd do in this video is share with you my favourite aviation experiences from 2020, and I want you to do the same as well. As I'm going through mine, jot down what your best experiences of 2020 were, stick them in the comments below, and let's just share the positive moments we all had in 2020 as opposed to focusing on the negatives, which, let's be honest, all of us are all too familiar with already. So let me start off with the time that I got to land this aircraft at the second busiest international airport here in Australia.
Oh my God, we're flying to Melbourne International Airport. I don't think I can get across how excited I am right now. In my hometown to my right, the main international airport that I fly in and out of as a passenger, and I'm about to land my own plane there. This is quite an epic moment for me, and I can see...
Okay, Yankee Zulu, turn right heading 300, report runway 34 inside.
Right, 300 and runway inside, Echo Yankee Zulu.
So after a few phone calls with the really helpful team at Air Services Australia just to go through some procedures, after a bit of flight planning on the ground, I basically picked a blue sky day and, well, I just went for it.
Echo Yankee Zulu, wind 350 degrees 8 knots, runway 34 cleared to land.
Runway 34, clear to land, Echo Yankee Zulu. And we've been cleared to land at Melbourne International Airport.
Now I do know a lot of people who work in air traffic control do watch this channel, so I just want to say first of all thank you again for looking after us pilots, especially in those quieter times when there were less commercial airlines operating. For GA pilots to get into airports like Melbourne International was a real experience, so thank you for helping with that. And that kind of leads me to my next aviation highlight of 2020 as well, which was if I'd already landed Echo Yankee Zulu at Melbourne International, the second busiest airport here in Australia, well, there's really only one other place I could go from there.
Okay, Yankee Zulu, contact Sydney approach 128.3.
1283, Echo Yankee Zulu. And let's go land at Sydney.
In May 2019, Sydney International Airport had 27,000 aircraft movements. Fast forward into 2020, and in May, that number had dropped to just under 3,500 aircraft movements for the whole month.
So you want to head up to the northern end of the field there, up towards the Qantas area and then back down?
Yeah, if possible, that would be great. Thank you. Echo Yankee Zulu. That's the Qantas terminal. Where I've been in there so many times. They've got the Qantas lounge just at the top there.
It was a great experience flying into Sydney International Airport, but at the same time it was really quite sobering and sad to see an airport that I usually am so used to seeing buzzing with people and aircraft just basically standing still.
Hi, Steph.
What's up?
Almost 7 hours of flying in total, a long day. I was really tired when I got home, but an experience I'll never forget. Now, if you followed this channel for a while, you'll know that my biggest project of my flying career, and definitely the biggest thing I was planning to do in 2020, was to take Echo Yankee Zulu and fly her around the world. Well, travelling around the world was kind of the one thing that none of us could do in 2020, so obviously that project had to be cancelled. Cancelled isn't quite the right... Why are hangar doors in airports so noisy? To wait for the wind to stop. Okay, and action. No. Cancelled is the wrong word though. This trip is postponed, and to those of you who are asking, is it then postponed to 2021? Am I planning to fly around the world this year? The short answer to that is, look, probably not. Whilst I think it would be possible to do a round the world flight in 2021 with vaccinations and quarantine procedures getting a lot better in countries now, I don't actually think you would get the best experience from the trip. I don't think it would be a particularly enjoyable trip, to be honest. You'd be so focused on all of the coronavirus implications of flying through multiple countries that you're not going to get the best experience and enjoy those countries when you're actually there. So for me, I'm postponing not until it's physically possible, but postponing until I know that I can do the trip justice. Why am I listing cancelling or postponing my round the world trip in 2020 as a positive thing? Firstly, I can get more experience as a pilot, like flying into Melbourne and Sydney International that I did this year, flying into bigger airports, getting more hours, getting more instrument experience. Between now and when I do go on this round the world trip, all that extra experience, well, surely that can only benefit me as a pilot. Then in the same period of time, I can get better experience as a filmmaker as well. I've upgraded some of the cameras on Echo Yankee Zulu. I can play around with the camera angles, how I use them. Basically, I get more experience in how I can create the content for you here on YouTube, so you get a more enjoyable outcome if you do choose to follow along with me and enjoy the videos that I make of the round the world trip. Then there's the flight planning side as well. These doors. Then there's the flight planning side as well. Even in the last couple of months, I've heard from my contacts in Russia saying that avgas is more readily available at more airports that I could fly to, making some of those trickier, longer distance legs through those remote areas actually a lot easier just because I've waited. And then finally, there's the subject of the aircraft itself and the fact that, just cover her ears, the fact that if I wait a little bit longer, maybe I'll discover that this isn't the perfect aircraft to fly around the world in. You remember I've had issues with the fuel tank, the auxiliary fuel tank I wanted to get in Echo Yankee Zulu. It looks like that's probably not going to happen, so maybe just looking at another aircraft could give me options. I'm not saying that I'm going to change Echo Yankee Zulu, but you know, another type of aircraft where I could say, I don't want to talk about it actually, it's going to make me sad, and to be honest, it's making Echo Yankee Zulu sad as well. So let's talk about another one of my aviation highlights from 2020 instead, and that is the subject of flight simulation. When most of the world was in lockdown and us aviators were forcibly grounded, a lot of pilots turned to flight simulators for our aviation fix and infringed the airspace usually reserved for the likes of Swiss 001, Air Force Proud 95 and other pixel-based pilots. Playing with Microsoft Flight Simulator, getting more into X-Plane, really gave me an appreciation for what goes on in the flight sim community. I watched people like PewDiePie and Dr. Disrespect bringing flight simulators to the mainstream YouTube masses, and of course the awesome team at TalkSim who made an exact replica of this very aircraft, Echo Yankee Zulu, that you can fly in X-Plane, right down to the very detail of having your very own milkshake sitting with you on the dash. Flying in my home sim really is part of my overall aviation experience now. It's not just a toy, it's not just a game, it's something I genuinely use to practice things like IFR approaches at home. And to be honest, I don't think any of that would have happened had it not been for the lockdown that we had in 2020. Okay, next up, my trip to Malakuta Beach. Now, this was a really special one, not just because of the incredible flying there and back, but because it represents a real change in approach for me. Not how I approach my flying so much, but how I approach making content, making stories for you to watch here on YouTube on this channel. I've said it before, but I really want less of that drama-ridden, will he make it, won't he make it, will the engine roughness he's experiencing down his plane, and more of a focus instead on the real beauty of aviation and travel. What flying can offer you that other means of transport just can't. So if there's one thing that 2020 has taught me, it's to try and look for the positives in every situation. Even a year as destructive and restrictive as 2020 was, I can still find 5 things that for me represented experiences which I'm really grateful to have had. Just because we're in a new year now, it doesn't mean though that things are going to magically change overnight. What I'm going to try and do, and what I ask of you then, is just to try and focus on the positives, even though that there are so many negatives around you. Media outlets, the internet, friends and family, all telling us to focus on the bad things, the doom and gloom. But what would be good this year is if we just try and invest a little bit more of our time and effort in focusing on the positives. What are the things that you can do that just improve and enhance you as a person? "2020, hey? Or you can do what I've pledged to do in 2021. Walk into airplanes. So in no particular order, I've thought produce content for you guys here on YouTube. So thanks. No. Maybe vaccinations will be required in certain places, and I'm assuming that we'll all have them by this time next year, but what am I saying? Helpful in allowing blah, 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 blah. Maybe going in 2022, that's a yeah. Now I do know that people who work in air traffic control, not just here in Australia, Australia. My voice is finally broken. Those are my 5 aviation highlights for 2020. Let me know in the comments below what were some of yours. Do give us a like if you enjoyed this video as well, and a very happy new year to you. All the best for a happy and healthy 2021. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.